what is supply chain, because in 2031 there is a $138 billion prediction of the data breaches in this supply chain, right?
So basically जो supply chain है, अगर हम इसको very easy terms में discuss करें, so anything that you have in your code which is a third party.
I think like ASM should have to be the necessary element of the current industry, because
exactly.
External attack vectors, we need a meta search engines who scans your digital assets like IP, domains, subdomains, API 24/7. So we can extract the attack vectors.
Exactly. And this is the most vulnerable part, I would say, right? Because currently I have seen a lot of ASMs, they're just performing scannings. I would say continuous scanning.
Yeah,
and then they're just reporting it.
Exactly. Where love is business, emotion is business, pain is business, security is business, right? How you think we can empower our local talent, right, in cybersecurity, regardless of the business perspective or the value perspective? Because this is very urgent time in 2025. We have seen recent adventures. Overall, the nations and the cyber warfare happen and the command and control happen.
We, as a community, we can start with the knowledge sharing, right? We need to be open with each other. We need to share what we know. If we keep something inside, that's not gonna happen, right? We need to share as much as knowledge with the community. It could be through the blog post. It could be through the podcast. It could be through the...
Hey guys, what's up? This is Husnain, and we are here again with one of the most prestigious guests again. Also, the current topic that we will discuss about the supply chain, and also what is happening inside the Pakistan and the global impact. Supply chain industry is one of the most important industry in current era, with the data breaches of around about $4.4 million breach happened in 2025. And also in Pakistan, there are a lot of attacks that are happening. And we have today very special guest, international guest with the name of Hassan Khan Yusufzai. So we would like to most welcome Hassan. Welcome to our podcast.
Thank you so much for
Thank you so much for joining. Please have a concise introduction about your journey from base to end, like from university as well. We would like to know like how you started your journey, how you worked, and also specifically like how you extracted the vulnerabilities, specifically the research that we will discuss in this podcast about the NPM, and your international visits as well, right? So let's start.
Yeah, perfect. So my journey was quite actually interesting. So I basically started from wall hacking. I used to, build wall hack for the games, and I used to perform DLL injections in the past. जब मैं metric में था, at that time I have seen like companies like PayPal or many other companies जिन्होंने अपने bug bounty platforms वगैरह launch किए. और उस वक्त साइबर सिक्योरिटी का ट्रेंड इतना ज़्यादा नहीं था. एंड व्हेन आई सॉ दैट आई स्टार्टेड टू थिंकिंग ओके दिस इज़ समवेयर इंडस्ट्री विल गो, इट विल फॉलो द ट्रेंड राइट नाउ. तो मेरा जो स्टार्ट था वो बग बाउंटीज से था. आई वाज व्हाइट हैट हैकर, ठीक है, बट इन वेरी अर्ली स्टेजेस वहाँ पे आपके पास ज़्यादा रिसोर्सेज नहीं थी, राइट? और जो ब्लैक हैट हैकर्स की एक मार्केट थी या एक जो ग्रुप था, वहाँ पे नॉलेज, स्क्रिप्ट शेयरिंग और ये सारी चीज़ें ज़्यादा होती थी. Then at that point, after doing some white hat stuff, I turned my color of the hat to black. Right. I simply became a black hat hacker. थोड़ी सी मैंने
back in 2016.
Yes, exactly. That was the shadiest time of the hacking in the past. But I learned a lot of fundamentals from there. And when I was in my I would say first semester of university, I got a job offer. Again, and at that time I had to decide, okay, is it going to be a white hat or is it going to be a black hat hacker? So I decided to turn my color again to white, and then I joined that job.
You didn't be the part of grey hat?
Yeah, I didn't, because it was the most shadiest part. I would say exploits, defacements, and a lot of stuff was there, and there was no cybersecurity awareness, right?
Yeah.
जिसकी वजह से it was considered as an illegal activity.
Right.
Specifically, अगर हम past की बात करें तो ज़्यादा risk होता था as of now, right? So that's why I joined that job. I became an international cybersecurity expert. I used to perform vulnerability assessments, penetration testing, and network exploitation, stuff like that.
Right.
But eventually my interest was something else. I was not really interested in performing penetration testing. I wanted to work with developers. I wanted to see how these vulnerabilities are actually working, right? Because anyone could just go to a website and could inject a payload.
Yeah.
What is the backstory?
Exactly.
Right? You don't know what's happening behind
Yeah.
the scenes. So that's why my interest, it increased a lot. I got intrigued into, working with developers and working with, sec teams, DevSecOps teams, etc. And then I came back to Pakistan for many other reasons as well. And one of them was university too. And then I joined Sendoso, which was one of the, I would say, growing startup in Pakistan. It was a
Right.
really good startup. And I was the first security engineer there.
Right.
And the things
Back in 2017?
Yeah, back in 2018, I would say. Yeah.
Okay.
And the things that I got a chance to learn from there is just because I was working right with developers.
Right.
I knew what mistakes they were making, what kind of vulnerabilities they are actually leaving while they write code. So it was a really, I would say, a great learning curve for me, as well as for my community as well, because I used to write a lot of blog posts, how access vulnerabilities, exist. और आपको पता है उस टाइम में ज़्यादा सिक्योर कोड ऑडिट की इतनी ज़्यादा चीज़ें नहीं होती थी. देयर वर सम सर्टिफिकेशंस, ASP की सर्टिफिकेशन थी और भी सर्टिफिकेशन थी.
I think like TCM भी इतना popular नहीं था.
Exactly. But right now there is a lot of content, but उस time content नहीं होता था. तो और the ChatGPT and the AI stuff wasn't there. So to learn how vulnerabilities exist, वो किस तरह से exist करती हैं कोड में, किस तरह से injection attacks होते हैं, you need to have a mindset and you need to be with the hub of developers, I would say.
Right.
So my journey started as an AppSec. मैंने बहुत कुछ वहाँ पे सीखा, vulnerability की exploitation सीखी, MVC frameworks को देखा, किस तरह से developers ये mistakes करते हैं, जिसके बारे में हम आगे भी बात करेंगे. Data breaches किस तरह से होते हैं, किस तरह की vulnerabilities जो हैं वो common होती हैं, insider threats, etc.
Right.
But again, after learning, learning the backend, how the MVC framework works, I want to do something unique. I wanted to do something which is at scale, which is global. For example, अगर हम एक बात करें, let's say a Ruby gem, right?
Yeah.
So developers use any kind of Ruby gem in their code, and dependencies are the part of code.
Exactly. Third-party dependencies and the local dependencies.
But not only one single company is using that dependency. There are 1,000 other companies that are using the same dependency. Maybe if you talk about, let's say, Python request module.
Yeah.
Which was exploited.
Exactly.
A few I believe a year ago.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that was my I would say interesting point, because I wanted to find something which actually exploits in thousands of the other organizations. And उस वक्त जो research थी, there were really good researchers I knew in my circle, और I picked Ruby gems because मेरा Ruby on Rails में बहुत hand-on experience था, because the company I worked for.
And that was a development part, right?
That was a development part.
Right.
And eventually, as an AppSec, you don't have to patch bugs. But out of curiosity, I was actually a developer in the company.
Right.
I was actually implementing the fixes for cross-site scripting, for skill injections, for other CVs, etc. So the curiosity, it grows, it increases day by day. And I did OSCP as well at that time. And then I thought, okay, it's time to do something unique.
And you did OSCP back in 2020?
2019.
Wow.
Yeah.
OSCP plus or OSCP? Because right now we have two.
Yeah, right now there are two, but I did only one. Because
at that time, like buffer overflow was there, right?
Exactly.
Right now, like the Active Directory is involved.
Exactly.
Okay.
At that time, there was buffer overflow plus AD plus Linux exploitation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So we would like to know specifically about your experiences in the, because we will discuss about the NPM later on in our podcast, like the BlackHat, me, and the AQSEC days you visited and the ThreatCon, how you appeared over there, how they approached you as well, right? Yeah. We would like to know how you became an international speaker after showcasing your research.
Yeah, exactly. I was on the same path, right?
Yeah.
So the journey started here. I did at-scale research. I exploited CVs. I exploited vulnerabilities. I exploited NPM packages. And my colleague, kudos to Tariq, you know him very well. He found a defensive approach in protecting an NPM JS, right? There was an attack. It was related to account takeover in NPM package, and he came up with a defensive strategy. And I saw that blog when he shared with me, and I was like, okay, shit, this shit. We're gonna exploit this shit at scale, and it's gonna blow up things, right? And that's what exactly we did. We scanned all the NPM packages. There was actually 2.4 million NPM packages at that time.
Wow.
And the expertise I had from my previous ASM company I used to work for.
It was ASM company.
It was an ASM company, and in my ASM company, I was a researcher.
Oh, wow.
Right? I used to find CVs. My core, day-to-day activities was to find CVs, perform exploitation, and do stuff like this, right? So we did at-scale research, and that research was actually accepted by many other prestigious conferences, including BlackHat, included Munich, Germany, which was MCTTP, I believe, ThreatCon, AQSEC Days, OWASP, which is sponsored by OWASP, and many other organizations. So this is how I started my career in cybersecurity, which was really funny.
Okay.
I started from developing WallHacks and ended up becoming a core researcher.
Right. That's great. That's great. You mentioned the ASM as well, because I am the subject matter expert working in that ASM since last 4 years. We have developed a lot of test cases in that. We would like to know, when you was working with the NPM, the story came to you, the motivations came to you from Danish, right? Right?
Yep.
So NPM, how you exploited that? Like, what was the procedure? How you came to know that is the vulnerability that is inside the NPM package manager? So specifically, the facts and the figures,
Exactly. So
quantitatively,
So my core interest is to do at-scale research, something which can be exploited at scale, right?
Right.
So when I saw that defensive approach that Danish presented, it was time to scan all the NPM packages, right? And the problem was the domain expiration. So all we had to do, identify which NPM package was actually linked with its domain owner, right? And the domain owner's email, and then from this part we can actually extract the domain, right? And then we can check the domain expiry. It was really simple, but there was no I believe there was no active research on this part, and that's why we chose this part.
So we can say that the attack vector was simple, but the strategy was challenging to discover.
Exactly, because to download 2.4 million packages, you have to need a lot of space, right? Then you need to have a lot of resources which could actually download, extract, then perform scanning. So with the help of Danish, we built a very at scale I believe infrastructure which could actually download, extract, and perform the scanning, as well as perform attribution, like which package is belonging to which company, which was really important. Otherwise it's a hit or miss, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Fast forward, we would like to move on to the supply chain attacks. What is supply chain? Because in 2031, there is a $138 billion prediction of the data breaches in this supply chains, right? And it's right now a huge landscape. Cybersecurity itself is a more than $1 trillion market.
Yep.
There is like a 60,000 jobs or 80,000 jobs deficit only in the market of US.
Yeah.
The cybersecurity itself is ocean, but we will talk about supply chain. How you think, what is supply chain, how you get evolved into it, right? And what are the common attack vectors? In the previous we see that the log4j happened, right? So these things, how you think, first of all, we will start from what is supply chain, and then what are supply chain attacks, and what are the major breaches that happened in the past, and also any breach in your career that you responded on that, you mitigated or you remediated, right?
Yeah, for sure. So basically जो supply chain है, अगर हम इसको very easy terms में discuss करें, so anything that you have in your code which is a third party, right, that you are importing from somewhere and using it in your own code, it's a supply chain, right? And in supply chain is literally everything is connected with literally everything. So if you have a request module in NPM, if you have an express module, there are dependents and dependencies. So every single package is literally depending on thousands or maybe more than 1,000 of other packages, right?
Yeah.
So this is how supply chain works.
But that is specifically in the libraries, But in the IT industry, also the supply chain is
exactly.
It's
supply
a general
chain
term.
is not literally just libraries.
Exactly.
It could be your vendors. It could be your other partners.
Shadow IT,
Shadow IT, anything which is linking. For example, let's talk about integrations are also supply chain. Right? Because you're using integrations in your own startup, maybe for webhooks and other processes, etc. These are also supply chain.
Right.
So it's a huge area, and as per IBM report, the risk of compromise of a company is higher than vulnerability exploitation and penetration testing, and also higher than data breaches. And it's supply chain. It's
Wow.
I believe it was $4.91 million, which was the cost of a breach due to supply chain.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
a big number.
And the mean time to identify is also the highest for the supply chain. It was 200 plus days for this part. And the cost of and the mean time for identification of vulnerabilities and data breach is lower than supply chain. So this actually shows how much supply chain is literally important for any organization out there.
Okay. So how we can provide the services in the supply chain? How you think like startups can pitch to the industries? How we can remediate? What sort of frameworks? What sort of tools? Even though if we have to install the EDRs, XDRs, same solutions with the companies,
Yeah.
we would like to know the services.
So I believe कि अगर supply chain के risk को आपने remediate करना है, तो
Right.
you would just first start with the core part, right? Because this is the most vulnerable part you have.
Right.
After, of course, insider threat, because you cannot eliminate that part.
Right.
But first of all, you have to perform the gap assessment, try to identify, within the gap assessment, try to identify what supply chains you have in your company. Either they are vendors, they are partners, they are third-party libraries, or any other thing. You need to identify the whole attack surface. ASM, we call it attack surface management.
Yeah.
Right? You have to provide a complete ASM type of a thing for your supply chain, and then you start eliminating those risks.
I think like ASM should have to be the necessary element of the current industry,
Yeah,
because
exactly.
external attack vectors. We need meta search engines who scans your digital assets like IP, domains, subdomains, API 24/7. So we can extract the attack vectors, right? So we can reduce the more supply chain attacks.
Yeah.
So ASM is one of the, we will talk about the
Yeah,
ASM, right?
yeah.
How you think like the ASM is very important for the companies and the corporates to identify or for the proactive measures to reduce the supply chain attacks
Yeah.
and also to reduce the risk free, because SIEM or SOC or EDR, these are just a monitoring systems.
Yep.
We need a platforms or a systems that can monitor continuously, not only monitor but also have to notify you like these are the assets that are exposed to the internet.
Exactly. And this is the most vulnerable part, I would say, right? Because currently I have seen a lot of ASMs, they're just performing scannings. I would say
Exactly.
continuous scanning.
Yeah, best.
And then they're just reporting it.
Exactly.
Right? But there are a lot of factors to an ASM. And ASM needs to act as an EASM, which is
External.
exposure management platform, right?
Right.
And ASM should be able to identify not only the scanning part, but other third-party factors as well.
Exactly.
For example, maybe let's say data breaches.
Yeah.
Let's say supply chain, right?
Yes.
So
Brand intelligence.
Exactly. Brand protection as well.
Yes.
This should be included in an ASM, because in ASM you need to identify shadow assets, right?
Yeah, exactly. Shadow assets, shadow
Yeah,
IT. all
and there are
these.
many other factors that are connected with those shadow assets.
Exactly. Sometimes your Slack workspace ID published, your Postman ID is
Exactly.
published, and you
Exactly.
don't know your GitHub
Exactly.
environment variables are exposed.
Exactly.
And that is a very common thing that is happening. And specifically in the era of vibe coding, right?
Yeah.
Where the developers are using a lot of AI.
Yeah.
And, AI from the base scratch development to the deployment, and then after the deployments, also the production as well. How you think like vibe coding is the biggest attack vectors for the startup, right?
Yeah, I think AI is generally there to help a lot, but when you I believe, like, for example, if you really rely on just on the AIs for the coding of your organization, you're gonna mess things up, because AI cannot bring a lot of security patches or a lot of security I would say features into your system, because you need to know how authorization work, right? AI can tell you to implement this library for your authentication and authorization, but the way you implement it is really matters, right? And you have seen in the market that the code that AI develops is vulnerable to cross-site scripting and other injection attacks.
Exactly.
So this is one of the biggest challenge for the
the
developers.
CSRF and SSRF are the vulnerabilities that
Exactly.
gone, but right now they are again coming.
Exactly.
So, okay. We would like to know about the more open source. Okay, bhai, in Pakistan, do we have to promote the open source? And what is open source coding contribution? And also domino effect by the open source, right? What is that? Yeah.
Yeah, I think open source is a huge advantage in cybersecurity, as well as the developers as well. There are a lot of open source projects that anyone can use.
Project Discovery is one of the biggest
Discovery is one of the biggest. I believe there should be, within Pakistan, we need to have some kind of project discovery stuff here.
We discussed before that.
Yeah, exactly. And I really want the community to, come together and build something that really matters for the community.
Right. Why we have to develop the tools like HTTPS, co-witness, 𝗏𝗏, all these things? Why Indians are developing these things, and the project discovery, there was just a raw security researchers.
Yeah. So I personally think in Pakistan, we need to have some harmony maybe, or maybe have a community. We have a community, but we don't really share knowledge.
Right.
This is the main problem that we have. If we share knowledge, right, the reason to do research and go to the conferences is one that I shared my knowledge to the community. I teach people like how you can actually do this, right? So this is something that we really need to do, to share knowledge with the community, to teach students how to actually start with the tools, with the maybe even with their journey as well.
So with the AQSEC vision,
I really appreciate that vision.
We are empowering all these things, and our vision is to decode this abstract layer of cybersecurity of Pakistan to here as well, so we can build something greater and as well in the products industry and as well as in the utilities industries. Hassan, we would like to know, if you have any story in your life rather than the NPM, anything like that you recently discovered some vulnerabilities or did some research, or anything about that, how you found that, you can just stay anonymous. You can let us know how you find the vulnerability and how you responded to that, and what was the whole process for the audience, because our audience are the corporates and the students as well, and the community of Pakistan.
Yeah. So let me share one of the recent finding that our company identified for our internal penetration testing, and the vulnerability was really easy to find, and it was really funny as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So there was a JS file, and the JS file could easily be identified, and there are a lot of tools that extract JS files, and they show you these files exist there, and they perform scanning, right? But we weren't just looking for JS files, we were looking for something interesting in them. Like people look for tokens, people look for basic credentials, stuff like this in JS files. But we were looking for something interesting, and we found a ChatGPT link. It was a chat, and the chat belongs to, I would say I'm trying to redact the part. it's a little
it should have to be uncensored.
Yeah. So it's sensitive actually, and the chat, it actually contains a lot of sensitive information of the company, right? And it was published on ChatGPT, and this chat was actually belonging to a higher level person who had the access to this kind of information, financial, their company stats, employees, and many other stuff.
Right.
And trust me, this was a very easy to find vulnerability, but the risk of this vulnerability is so high. So you see, even in 2025, we are not talking about high quality injection attacks, RC. We are still talking about misconfigurations.
Right.
We're still talking about the human errors, right? So cybersecurity is just not about finding high or critical vulnerabilities. It's also about finding misconfigurations that actually becomes a mistake from a developer or higher level management person.
Right. Cybersecurity is beyond the AppSec, VAPT. It's like a malware development. How you think like Pakistan or the Pakistani talent or our local talent should have to work, to discover more domains in cybersecurity? Do you recommend some domains that are undiscovered or that are not popular in us in the security researchers? Because most of them are working onto the VAPTs,
exactly.
and also supply chains that you are working, and CTI. How you think that?
I think apart from the CTI, dark web monitoring and the one you just said. Which one was that actually?
Supply chain?
Yeah,
Or
supply chain as well.
𝗵𝗶𝗺𝗻.
Yeah, exactly. Apart from this, DevSecOps is one of the field that we also need to really focus on,
Right.
because that part actually portrays how your company is configured, right? If you have configured your applications in a wrong way, it's gonna mess up, right?
Okay.
You need to have proper Linux files permissions. You need to have proper, Linux security where your application is deployed, like Docker management and other stuff, right? So this is something we also need to focus. And also, I said, like, if we talk about supply chain is not just library we recently talked about, right?
Yeah.
It also contributes to this separateness of malware attacks, right? So hackers, they put malicious npm packages, they put malicious Python packages, and the purpose of these packages is to distribute malware. And once the malware hits your laptop, it steals all of your data.
Yeah.
So it's like a chain. So cybersecurity, I believe, it's a circle. You
Yes.
enter in one circle, and there are a lot of dots in it.
And also the cybersecurity, it's a round circle around the computer science as well as the AI.
Exactly.
So whatever, technology brings in, the security around that circle
Evolves, yeah.
gonna be there.
Yeah.
We are living in an era where love is business, emotion is business, pain is business, security
True.
is business,
Yep.
right? How you think we can empower our local talent, right, in cybersecurity, regardless of the business perspective or the value perspective? Because this is very urgent time in 2025.
Yep.
We have seen recent adventures. Overall, the nations and the cyber warfares happened and the command and control happened. How do you think which of the industries that we have to target as soon as possible as a security researcher to, train our people, to empower our people, to provide the best securities to the world?
Yeah. I think we, as a community, we can start with the knowledge sharing, right? We need to be open with each other. We need to share what we know. If we keep something inside, that's not gonna happen, right? We need to share as much as knowledge with the community. It could be through the blog post. It could be through the podcast. It could be through the conferences, or the best way is to teach students.
Right.
Maybe like
People are criticizing us.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to say that, right? But there are good ways.
Yeah.
There are good things about the courses as well. There are bad ways.
Exactly.
The reputation is there. When someone opens up a course, the hate they get, the racism they face, and a lot of these.
Even though
problems.
one of the security researchers said me, I'm gonna crack your courses.
Okay, interesting.
So if I said, okay, it means that I am doing something good,
Yeah,
right? And then you're gonna crack me,
exactly.
right? So
And also one thing, like, we need to change the perspective towards courses as well, right? If we have something for free, there is no value. But if we have something which is paid, which is expensive, we give a lot of value.
Exactly.
So this is something we need to change.
And also, I think like in our corporate industry, a recent layoff happened. Microsoft laid off, or even though the staff augmentation industry also laid off a lot of things.
Yep.
US wanted to hire their people.
True.
And our corporate sector is right now empty. Our corporate people wanted to learn some new stacks
Yeah.
about cybersecurity, about AI,
Mm-hmm.
and we have to target them. Why the people consider dark web as a dark, right? It has a positive, the usage, similar like the social media, similar like the internet as well. The internet, if has the positive, then the negative things as well.
Exactly.
How you think we can learn Tor, how we can explore dark web, right, in a positive way to extract, cyber threat feeds, also the newses,
Yeah.
also the events that are happening.
Yeah. So I think the dark web is not just for the illegal activities. It's a golden market for the security researcher as well, right? So they can identify potential threats against the companies they work for, or maybe the services they provide for, right? So it really depends how you use the dark web. So basically, dark web is something where you don't have the things that you have on ClearNet. There are drug stores out there. There are many other illegal activities that happens on dark web.
Yeah.
But again, it really depends how you use it, right? So this is a dark web, and I believe we need to empower that part as well. We need to open up and speak about that part as well, right? For the good purposes, maybe to protect your own country from these attacks, or maybe to protect just your own corporate company from these kind of attacks that happen
Recently,
over dark web.
we discovered, or we said in the last podcast with Bilal, we said that like we should have to train our government sectors as well, specifically the police and the FIA,
Exactly.
about the dark web, because a lot of things are happening, and when they go to the investigations, they are unable to explore. What do you think about that? Do we have to train them?
I would say instead of starting with the dark web training, we need to start with the security awareness, right? Because that's what the problem is. So let's say if there is a government office of Pakistan and there are employees in it, right? We need to train them how to not to use maybe cracked softwares, avoid malvesting sites, right? Avoid phishing attacks, because all of these problems start with these kind of attacks, right? Phishing is common. But you have seen recent Microsoft phishing domain, which was actually spreading malware, right? So we need to start with security awareness training around dark web, so we can protect companies through it, not just the dark web training.
Right. So not just the dark web training.
Yeah,
Do
exactly.
we have Did you have experience to work with the government sectors as well in your with the Laburity as well? Like provide them the services or stuff like that?
No, we are actually working with a lot of corporate companies and SaaS companies right now. Our ICP is just SaaS at the moment. But we're looking to forward, working with these kind of organizations as well.
We would like to know like what sort of specific services that you are providing to people, and at Laburity, what you are doing, right? How you are providing the services, and how you are expanding. What's your vision as well?
Yeah, so we provide vulnerability assessment and penetration testing, which is a very common. But our vulnerability assessment and penetration testing is something which is, a very high stake kind of pen test. We believe and we believe and we report very high quality vulnerabilities, right? We just don't focus on the cookie is not secure and it's stuff like this. As I told you earlier, like the ChatGPT link, who would think of finding this, right?
Click-jacking errors.
Exactly, right. So the idea is to actually secure the company via penetration testing, not just running scanners like Nessus and a lot of tools that are out there.
Okay, so you wanted to provide a specific service.
Exactly.
In the dark web, right, we have watched a lot of data, the leaked data sets about the NADRA, about the corporates, about the executive, not only in Pakistan, but also in the MENA region. The MENA region is very hot region right now. I would like to know, like, what are the learning methodologies to extract that sort of information or that sort of data sets as well from the dark web, and how we can, provide the brand protection or the security to the corporates, to the executives, or to the governments as well.
Yeah. So I think to answer your question, first of all, extracting data from dark web is not an easy job. You need to have a lot of knowledge to do that. And as per the IBM report, it was a third. I mean, the breaches and the cost of data breach is on third, right? And its cost was $90 million at that moment. So it's higher than vulnerability exploitation and penetration testing, right? And the mean time to identify these leaks is also higher than vulnerability assessment and penetration testing. This also shows you a great impact why vulnerability, penetration testing, and these kind of things are not just a part of security measures. You need to have ASMs, dark web monitoring, and other tools in your infrastructure as well.
I think like ASMs right now is like insurance of the companies.
Yeah.
Right. In Australia, they have implemented ASM as insurance. Do you think like we have to implement ASMs in the corporate world as well?
Yeah, ASM as well as the dark web monitoring and also the supply chain.
So I think like we have to create the ASM that will cover the dark web monitoring as well as the attack.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're at Attack Insights, we did that, like the dark web monitoring as well, all these things. Can you name them some platforms like ransomware.live where we can monitor, the live APT groups and attacks?
Yeah.
Can you name them? Do you know them? Some names, some things?
Ransomware live is a, you would say, the basic of it. You can have their feeds. It's publicly
RSS feeds,
Yeah. You can use this to extract their groups, maybe the recent breaches, attacks, etc. But it does not give you a complete visibility over what's happening over dark web and what's actually being leaked. You have to follow or be into a lot of forums or maybe
like a threat hunting forums.
Yeah, exactly.
Telegram, Discord.
Exactly.
We have to create the sock puppets for that.
Also, you have to be very I would say, very careful accessing these kind of forums and channels.
Right. You have to create the sock puppets, and then you can do these things via sock puppets,
Yeah.
right? We would like to know, again, get back to the supply chain again,
for sure.
because, supply chain is something that is important, not only the third-party libraries, but also in the shadow IT assets. How you think like we can provide the security to the supply chain, right? And what are the common frameworks that we can follow?
So there are many SBOM tools that are out there, which actually just maps your entire organization against supply chain, and then they provide security around it. Some of the SBOM, I believe in US in 2022, I forgot the date, but it's actually mandatory to have companies to implement SBOM solutions in their products or third party.
Do you think it belongs to the compliance side, like SOC 2 stuff?
Apart from compliance side, it's actually mandatory for the companies to implement SBOM solutions.
What are that solutions?
I believe the name was Cyclone is one of them. And there are a few others there are some open source as well.
No, what solutions, what they do?
Solutions, what they do?
Yeah.
They actually map your organization against your third party list, right?
Okay.
This includes integrations, maybe your overall corporate risk. For example, if you're using Slack, right?
Okay.
If someone have also created your company's similar Slack, right? Let's say test.slack.com is your company, right? But someone creates A with a different word, right? Someone uses a test A and slack.com.
Okay, that's kind of a brand intelligence, like, the phishing strategies, the
yeah.
type scorting,
Exactly.
bit scorting, p-hashing.
Exactly. But this also comes in supply chain security, because supply chain is kind of on the top of data breaches, right? So supply chain is the reason why data breaches happens.
Okay.
Because I shared with the IBM status report with you, right?
Yeah.
And the cost was higher than supply chain. And when I researched about this as well, when we did this NPM research, right, we looked for the emails and those emails against those data breaches, right? And more than 35% of those emails were actually, exist in data breaches. So,
right.
So this supply chain is actually contributing with a lot of other attack vectors.
Like platforms like TruffleHawk are doing the same things,
TruffleHawk is for identification of leaked credentials and secrets.
Similar like the Grey Hat Warfare for the cloud.
Yeah. Grey Hat Warfare to identify buckets and stuff like that.
So I think like you are saying that we have to develop these platforms or the utilities that discover or that just map what are the third-party integrations, what are the clouds that you're using, what are the libraries that you're using.
Yeah.
So in that way, you have a knowledge like across this NPM package with libraries.
Exactly. Because NPM is not just the single supply chain list.
So it's gonna be part of DAST.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
We have SAST, DAST, and OAST.
Exactly.
So it's a part of DAST, right?
Yeah.
I think like we have to work together because like tools like SNCC.
Yeah.
And SonarQube.
Yeah, SonarQube is there. Yeah.
Is there?
There is SamGrep. There are other tools as well which perform static code analysis as well, tries to identify the vulnerabilities and CVs within those packages. But again, finding CVs and the outdated packages, it's not just a total solution to the problem, because there are misconfigurations.
Right.
There are account takeovers, right? When these kind of vulnerabilities exist, you can't just rely on these kind of tools. You need to have some sort of extended checks over your tools.
Okay, let's get back to the students part as well.
Yeah.
How the students can learn cybersecurity and why the mehnat in cybersecurity is much more difficult than the software development.
Yeah, I would say something which is very difficult and people won't understand, which is for the juniors to stay away from ChatGPT.
Right.
Stick on fundamentals.
Yeah.
Learn how fundamentals works. Learn basic tools, utilities, Linux, Learn
Burp
about
Suite.
Exactly. Learn and then jump into the ChatGPT. Right now I have seen juniors and other students which are also intern, they just really rely on ChatGPT and everything they perform, and it's actually ruining their part of cybersecurity journey.
They don't know even the response code statuses.
Exactly, that's the problem. They don't even know if you're using curl, how to pass an argument to curl.
Exactly.
That's the problem, right?
And they're just writing the prompts to write the curl command for this situation.
Exactly.
They don't gonna perform any sort of an injection by utilizing that strategy.
Exactly, that's true.
So that is also the challenging part. I mean, like cybersecurity is much more than persistence, right?
Yeah.
You have to persist, not
Yeah.
only to resist, but persist as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Cybersecurity, how we can train people, Hassan, because that is also the challenging
Yeah.
part. Do you think, for example, you can do a commitment and you can do a work with us, to create some sort of a content on cybersecurity, like what you do of like 6 hours or 7 hours, and the community in our cybersecurity, like create just a content in either Urdu or English, that regardless of the linguistics, right? Because our vision is to strengthen the global, right? It's not from the local, it's start from the local, but it's about global, right?
Yeah.
When the project Discovery started, they have nothing, but right now they have $10 million investments,
Yeah, true.
and the Ambanis are behind them, right? It's a big game, and they started back in 2018.
Yep.
Take it.
Yep.
Similarly, when I started, the 𝗓𝗏, the 𝗓𝗏 platform for the API security was there, and right now they have very good investments. In the UK, there are companies, they have nothing about the ASMs, but they have investments of $2.5 million. I did the assessments of that industries. How you think we have to start immediately to train the people to grab at least, like from $1 trillion market, we can cover at least 20%, at least 10%, or even if 1%, the 1 billion, it's going to be a huge number.
It's
How
going to
you
be a
think?
huge number. Yeah, so I think first of all, we need to start, do the knowledge sharing first, right? Build a community, a community which is huge and community which is, ready to share knowledge. As you said, the courses, right? I train students in my own cycle, right? I teach them how to be in cybersecurity, which field you can choose, because there are a lot of other fields, right? The basic problem that I face teaching students is I share like ChatGPT, right? So we need to build something for the students on which they can focus on fundamentals. And I believe if we have a community, just like you mentioned, where many mentors, right? Many mentors
at
who are
least record them.
specific. Yeah, at least record them, or
And
maybe
we will monetize them.
Yeah, exactly. Monetization is not the problem.
Exactly.
Right? Even if you don't monetize it, if your sole purpose is to teach the community, you're gonna serve the purpose.
Yes, exactly. But that you mentioned a value for a value.
Yeah, value.
Because
for
you
value.
have some value. If you are investing 6 hours on some content, then I think via monetization or via AQSEC, you are getting some value.
Yeah.
Ultimately.
Yeah.
And you know that कि हाँ मुझे 1 साल बाद ये value मिलेगी इस course से, and I have checked that literally. The stats are, if you just create a course of like 7 hours and we can just sell it on like 80,000 PKR benchmark, then if you have something like 10% or 5%, you're going to have a good numbers in the end of year of the passive income. That my research as well. So I think like we should have to start these trainings and certifications about, because TCM, when they started back in 2018, it was nothing.
Yep.
But right now there are trainings, the veterans of the armies as well.
Yep.
Okay. How you think the physical security?
Oh, I think that's a really good topic.
You know why we are unable to import the physical devices? And
I was actually trying to get 𝗏𝗏𝗏 kit.
It's challenging to bring here.
It's challenging to bring it.
Don't
here.
tell them.
Yeah.
Don't tell them you have a flipper.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, we need to have some kind of research labs, and do not think these kind of things as an illegal activity.
Government should have to prove these research labs.
Exactly. I was having the same argument with someone in ITC in Karachi, and he was like, anything is possible, you can do this stuff, but I was like, we cannot bring devices. Right?
Exactly. We cannot.
I cannot open my own research lab.
𝗏𝗏𝗏.
I had a dream to open a research lab in Lahore, right?
Inshallah.
I wanted to bring all of these tools in one place and teach students how you can actually use these
our
cables.
students पाकिस्तानियों के अंदर बेस से है, चलती गाड़ी में कोई लकीर मारते हैं.
Yep.
They have the base thing to break the things.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think if we have the devices in our industry with this licensed, government can issue the license to us.
Exactly. Just make them legal somehow.
Exactly. So we can even train them, because in NCCS the devices are there, but they are Okay. So specifically, Hassan, we would like to know about again students, because students and the corporates. How you think like corporates, developers can convert them into cybersecurity? Because students also, like after doing the bachelor's, they should have to learn about something basics like Linux, networking.
True.
But corporates, the person who is developing like Python or a C++ developer or a Django framework working or person, how he can learn cybersecurity?
I think कि अगर एक developer cyber security में आता है ना, तो it's not just a good gesture, it's a blessing, because he knows how to develop applications, right? He know how to develop something, and when this kind of person he learns about cybersecurity, it's a whole new level, right? So we need to have a lot of security awareness trainings in corporate to teach developers how to be, you know, a cybersecurity guy. Even if they don't want to be a cybersecurity guy, they need to know what kind of mistakes they don't want to do in their, you know, development journey.
Right.
And all of this starts with the security awareness, with the knowledge sharing.
Yes. And you know, I have trained a people. I just wanted to let you know, it was hard. There was a person from 𝗏𝗏𝗺𝗺. He's working in right now a very great company. But you know, the training was 555 hours in 3 months, and he served that. Even though his father got fractured, he got off. But I didn't, you know, give him any sort of flexibility. So this is like how cybersecurity should have to be trained.
Yeah.
Because you know, right now people are training 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏.
Yeah, exactly.
In Lahore, there are a lot of institutes. जिससे वो, you know, besides Pakistan का एक वो slogan है जिसने माँ को सताया, वो 𝐶EH कहलवाया.
That's a good one.
So I think like 𝐶EH is nothing. It's just a batch. You can do just in the third semester or second semester.
It's a theory. I mean,
it's a theory.
It's 2025, and if we are relying on theoretical things not gonna work.
Exactly. We should have to work beyond them.
Yeah, exactly.
So
right now in our company, we have senior developers, and whenever we onboard an intern or junior developer, they go through a complete security learning curve, not just a development curve. So this is how you need to change the perspective, right? Right. I mean कि उनको development के साथ साथ आपने security से भी go through करवाना है, which should be a part of their onboarding process.
Right. So I think like you are you know, motivated. You know, you have to convey the message via this podcast to community, to at least, rather than criticizing, you know, to the trainers or to the course creators, we should have to create a quality oriented content.
Yep.
At least it will create a history.
Yes.
It will create a history, not only to the VAPT, AppSec in the physical security. If we have just a flipper, for example, if we just train a flipper, do you think like it's going to be worth it to the industry?
It will just give a lot. It will give a lot of boost to OT industry.
Yeah.
Right. And OT part is something which people don't know. I don't even.
When we visited
have much
Leap
knowledge
and
of
BlackHat, you know,
a lot of
OT security.
Yeah, exactly.
मतलब वहाँ पे होता ही OT है ज़्यादातर.
Yes.
People are doing the augmented reality. People are doing, you know, command and controls. 5G is there.
Exactly.
They are controlling the robotics.
Bilkul.
And we are not exploring that. We are just still in the VAPT.
Yeah.
So I think we should have to, it's very important to bring these equipment here.
Exactly.
And then we can start working on that.
Exactly.
So दानिश भाई हम आपका इंतजार कर रहे हैं. When you will come and we will, you know, have some more discussions. Okay, we have a rapid fire section in which we will ask a rapid fire questions to the Hassan, and then we will have a response. What's the first thing that you do after discovering a breach?
I think first of all implement two-factor authentication,
right,
and just change your credentials.
Right. Strong password or multi-factor authentication, which one wins?
2FA.
2FA. Yeah. Okay. Dark web or deep web, which one is bigger?
Deep web is huge.
Deep web is huge?
Is huge.
Okay. What's the scarier part, ransomware or insider threat?
Insider threat.
Okay. If cybersecurity were a hero, what would be its power?
It would empower people's life.
The biggest myth in cybersecurity?
That we know everything.
One cybersecurity mistake that you will never repeat?
I will never hit my laptop with a malware.
What's your daily go-to security habit?
To explore new tools on GitHub.
Right. Red team or blue team? Which one?
Red team, of course.
Red team offensive.
Yeah.
You know, people in Pakistan love to be offensive. We love offense.
Yeah, true.
If you could secure one thing forever, what would it be?
I believe physical presence of an office or corporate surface.
Right. Which CVE shocked you the most?
Which CV shocked me the most? I believe there are many others, but the Log4j.
What's most important or favorite open source tool that you have?
My own tool, Gem Scanner.
Okay. What's the more dangerous thing, misconfigurations or 0 days?
Misconfigurations.
API or cloud misconfiguration, which causes more breaches today?
Cloud misconfigurations and also APIs.
API as well, because
we,
both are.
we cannot choose, but I think cloud could be secured on its own if they implement, and it could be implemented for many other
Right.
organizations. But API is something we have to do on our own.
What's one threat people still underestimate?
Data breaches
Data breaches.
Maybe,
Also,
yeah.
social engineering
happens through phishing, malvesting, malwares.
and cybersecurity awareness as well.
Yeah, cybersecurity.
They underestimate.
Yeah, exactly.
We know everything.
Yeah, exactly.
That is good. Okay, AI in cybersecurity. How you are utilizing the AI in cybersecurity on your daily basis task?
I think it can help you with a lot of tasks that we used to, for example, if we talk about single one-liner scripts, or maybe, the scripts that are just few lines, right?
Mm.
It can help me automate a lot of these stuff. I am an automation freak. I used to write a lot of automation scripts, right?
Mm.
And now these kind of small scripts can just be automated with ChatGPT and other AIs as well.
Right, we can just rapidly write
Exactly.
bash scripts, Python
Exactly.
scripts easily
Yeah.
using the Claude and the Cursor.
Mhm.
What's your opinion on bug bounty culture in 2025?
I mean, in 2025, it's quite challenging, but the doors are not closed.
But I think vibe coding is making again the industry
Exactly.
comes to end.
Yeah.
Okay, let's come to the crux of the podcast, right? Hassan, we would like to know about your honest reviews or your honest feedback about the cybersecurity and the efforts about the AQSEC that we are making. And our vision is to empower and the strength nation, because when I listened to in 2017, we can bring down nations on their knees with a click of button by Benjamin. And at that time, we envisioned that, inshallah, we will strengthen the nations. And that's why we started building that attack surface management platform to cover that industry. And also we have this platform to train and empower people of the cybersecurity and the corporates and the students as well, right? So what's your honest feedback on that?
Yeah, first of all, I think cybersecurity is something which cannot be compromised in any case, even for the government sector, for the corporate sector, for SaaS companies or anything. I think security awareness should be the number one priority for every company that are out there, and even for the person itself, right? And we should empower students, interns, juniors, and we should teach them how to to join this cybersecurity sector and how to be a part of it, and also contribute to make the internet a safer place. Yeah.
Okay. And also, how you think we can, enforce or motivate the corporates to invest into cybersecurity or hire at least security researchers in Pakistan? Because, banks have the compliances, but the corporates don't.
Yep. So that's the challenging part. The thing that can motivate them is the data breach. I'm just kidding. I think the thing that can motivate them is to have a good code quality, including a cybersecurity awareness. Like, for example, they should be proud of if they have a good developers who cannot have vulnerabilities within their code, and also not using AI too much to produce these kind of vulnerabilities, right? This could be the motivation for them.
So corporates should have to hire hackers right now, and they have to trust and they have to create the compliances and the legal documents with them as well, just to take care of their data, because data is oil.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Hassan, to having such a great session, and we are looking forward with you to work with the AQSEC and the trainings part as well. If we can impart together with Laburity, it's going to be a great impact, inshallah. Thank you so much, the AQSEC audience. We will see you in the next and upcoming episode, where we will have the CTOs and the CEOs of the companies working in Pakistan, and they are providing a very great cybersecurity services. And our vision is to decode the abstract layer, and we want to bring the people who are working in that industry since 2015 to 2014 and from their childhood, right? So inshallah, our vision is going on. Thank you so much for supporting us. Continuously support us, sponsor us, and plan for the partnerships. Thank you so much. See you in the next podcast. Thank you.